In this video, we'll show you how to change the rear brake caliper on your Ford F-150. You can find it on CarParts.com via the link in the description. For safety reasons, we strongly suggest watching our video on how to jack your Ford F-150 safely. It is now necessary to release the electric parking brake in order to clear the grip on the disc. There is a manufacturer procedure for this vehicle. Turn the ignition on. Hold the accelerator pedal and EPB switch. Turn the ignition off, then turn it on. Turn the ignition off and release the EPB switch. Place a container to collect the fluid under the caliper, since the brake fluid may leak out. Using a ratchet and a long 11mm socket, unscrew the Banjo bolt connecting the hose to the caliper. Place a cloth down, since the brake fluid may leak out. Next, remove the hose. Here's a tip. You can limit brake fluid leakage during this operation by plugging both sides of the Banjo bolt with Banjo shutter pliers. Disconnect the electrical connector by pressing the tab with a flathead screwdriver. Then, using a fork, remove the wiring harness retaining clip. Using a T27 Torx wrench, unscrew the two bolts holding the EPB actuator. Then remove it. Remove the used O-ring. You can also use a hook. With a 13mm wrench, unscrew the slide pins. Sometimes you have to keep the lock nut from turning by holding it with your fingers or a 17mm wrench. Finish unscrewing by hand. You can now remove the caliper. For great content, our best price, and fast shipping, download the CarParts.com app now. Remove the brake pads. If they look worn, you are advised to replace them with new ones. Using a ratchet and a 21mm socket, unscrew the two holding bolts on the caliper mount. You can also use a 13/16" socket. Depending on the state of the bolts on the caliper mount, it may be necessary to use a hammer to loosen them. Remove the caliper mount. You can order the brake caliper and caliper mount used in the video on CarParts.com via the link in the description. Take the new caliper mount. Reassemble the caliper mount by screwing first by hand. Then with a ratchet and a 13/16" socket to lock them in place. Finish tightening using a torque wrench. Grab the pads and lightly coat the ends with copper grease to help them slide more easily. Insert the pads into the caliper mount by sliding them in. Now, put the caliper back on the caliper mount. Before installing the new caliper, apply a medium thread locker to prevent accidental unscrewing. Screw in the caliper slide pins by hand at first. Screw them in using a 13mm wrench. You can use a 17mm wrench to prevent the bolts from rotating. Finish tightening using a torque wrench. Put the gasket back in place. Apply silicone grease to the EPB actuator cavity and the O-ring. Replace the EPB actuator in its slot. Then, screw the retaining bolts back in. Finish the tightening of the bolts with a torque wrench. Clip the wiring harness back on. Plug the electrical connector back in. Use a 5mm Allen key to remove the plug from the caliper. Get the new seals and the Banjo bolt. Put a seal on the Banjo bolt and install the assembly on the hose. Then put the second gasket on the Banjo bolt. Screw the Banjo bolt that connects the brake hose to the caliper back in until it makes contact. Finish tightening the Banjo bolt with a torque wrench. When replacing a brake caliper, you need to bleed the brake fluid system to remove air from the system. To do this, we suggest watching our video, How to Bleed the Brake Fluid System Ford F-150. After bleeding, remember to clean the caliper disc assembly with brake cleaner to remove the brake fluid, which can be corrosive. It is now necessary to reactivate the electric parking brake. Turn the ignition on. Hold the accelerator pedal and EPB switch. Turn the ignition off while holding the pedal and the EPB switch. Turn the ignition on, waiting 5 seconds. Release the accelerator pedal and EPB switch. Then you will be able to put the wheels back on your vehicle. Put your truck back on the ground before properly fixing the wheels in place. Operation complete.
Quality parts, priced right, CarParts.com.